Hey guys, today we got a little box from Caddx. This contains the new baby Ratel, or baby Ratel as I like to call it. Got this today, so let's take a look and see what we get inside the box. So we get the baby Ratel, which is essentially the standard Ratel, but in a smaller package. This is the 14mm nano size camera, when the normal Ratel is a 19mm camera. It has the 1.8mm lens on the one that I chose. It is NTSC PAL switchable, and it also can change a bunch of other settings on it. In the box, along with it, we also get an adapter to adapt it to micro size. Oops, sorry. And we get a little board so that we can change settings on it. And a couple of screws and a wrench. Pretty nice. So the baby Ratel appears to be pretty well made. Now, I don't normally buy products from Caddx because any products that I've bought previously, I've had hit and miss results with. Their quality control seems to be a little off, and I'll tend to have, maybe a hair on the sensor, or the camera won't work at all, etc. The reason I ended up buying this one, though, is because I wanted to get a nano camera that was good at low light, because I sometimes want to fly in the evenings and that kind of thing. And my favorite camera, which is sitting inside this TP3 right now, is the Runcam Nano 2, at least in the 14mm form factor. It's great, however, it's not good at low light. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull this out of the TP3, and then we'll compare the two a little bit, check the weights out. I think this is going to be a little bit heavier because it has a full metal enclosure, which is kind of nice. This is a plastic enclosure. And then I'm going to get this stuck in the TP3, and we're going to see how it is. Alright, let's take a look at the baby Ratel in comparison to the Runcam Nano 2. Now, the Nano 2 has one cable coming out of it because it has no menus to change. There's no way to change settings. You either have to buy an NTC or a PAL version, and that's pretty much it. What you see is what you get. So this has the secondary wire coming out of it because you can make changes to settings. Now, they're both going to be 14mm wide and 14mm tall, because that's the standard. The baby Ratel is quite a bit longer than the Runcam. Now, this Runcam Nano 2 with slightly shortened wires and this little connector on it is coming in at 3.6 grams, and then the baby Ratel with its wiring is coming in at 4.6 grams. So it's a full gram heavier. I'm guessing that's almost entirely due to it having, I'm guessing this is an aluminum case where this is plastic with these little brass inserts. Alright, that's the baby Ratel mounted up in this pickle canopy. As you can see, the lens doesn't actually stick out any further than it does with the Nano 2, like I thought it would. And the reason is they've moved the mounting so that it would be about the same length. What that does mean is that the rear of the camera is going to stick out further, and in my case it actually runs into the VTX in here, and I cannot tilt the camera up any further than this. So, at least for my application, I would have to do something different if this is what I'm going to keep on here permanently, because that tilt is just a little bit low for me. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to get this outside, and we'll do some light testing, and we'll run it out in bright sunlight, and then I'm going to take it out this evening, and we'll see how it does in dim light. I'm also not going to be changing any settings on here, because I think a lot of people will probably just run it at default, and so rather than make a bunch of changes and optimize it and all that, I'm going to leave it exactly how it comes from the factory and see how it looks that way. Alright, so first we're going to take a look at a full daylight shot. I think that this is a good representation of what most people are going to be flying with this camera most of the time. First of all, the colors and the clarity of this camera are absolutely gorgeous. The Runcam Nano 2 that I normally fly looks good, but it certainly doesn't look this good. This looks like a micro camera, which makes sense because it's supposed to have the same hardware as the micro Ratel does in it. So I think that this comes out head and shoulders above any of the other nano cameras that I've tried. Of course, it's more expensive, so it should be better. Now you can see there I was doing a little bit of light transition, light to dark, and it handles that really, really well. I think it handles it better than any of the other cameras in this class that I've tried as well. Now I'm going to switch over and show you some closet shots here where I'm turning my light on and off. You can see this is almost full dark, That's full bright looking at the camera, full dark again, full bright looking at the camera, and it is handling that transition very well and very quickly. This next shot you can see me flying in almost complete darkness. I've actually had to put a little shield underneath the camera because the lights on the quad itself underneath the camera were completely drowning out the sensor. Obviously this is not very good quality image, but it does work, and this is an almost complete darkness. Now this next clip is going to be a little bit more realistic shot. This is just before dawn, so it's dark out still, but it's a little bit brighter. The camera makes it look much lighter out than it is, but I wouldn't feel comfortable like reading a book in this light, so it does pretty well in this light. I'm very happy with it all around. So there you go, the Caddx Baby Ratel. By every measure that I can throw at it, a very good camera, especially for the 14mm nano class. It retails for 30 bucks. I bought mine directly from Caddx for $30, and at that price I think it is a pretty good option for the 14mm cameras. It's obviously significantly more expensive than a Runcam Nano 2, but it's not really in that same class because it has the ability to make changes to all the settings in it, which the Runcam Nano 2 doesn't have. It's a little bit cheaper than the Runcam Racer, which also has the ability to make changes to the settings, and then the new Foxier camera I think is about the same price. I haven't really looked into that too much. So it handles everything I threw at it. The light to dark and dark to light transition is really fast. It does well in low light. It's beautiful image in good light. So if you're looking for a nano camera for your build and you don't mind the little bit of extra weight and the extra length here, this is a really good option for you to try out. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.